Welcome to SWAMFest. I think a lot of you probably just got here. I know the event started earlier today, but I think a lot of you are here for the rest of the evening's festivities and tomorrow as well, and I really appreciate you coming out early. My name is Jennifer Goldman, and I know I don't know most of you, but hopefully by the end of the time we will all know each other a little bit better. I am here to talk to you about networking. With my presentation, Is Your Networking? One of the things that I like to tell people, I know it seems counterintuitive, but a lot of people like to try to cast the widest net to catch people in their network. And really what I like to teach is to network with more intention, cast a smaller net, something more appropriate, and aim for what you're really looking for. So our 4 points today are networking with intention, identifying your true targets and taking aim, following up with flair, and high-tech versus high-touch networking. But first, I wanted to tell you a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Jennifer Goldman. I own a company called Resonance. It is a government and community relations firm based in Fauquier County. I am a community relations specialist. That's just who I am. So when I started this company, I formed it around my specialties and what I absolutely love to do. And that entails working with people and talking to people and doing a lot of networking. Which I had done previously in my career and still continue to do. So hopefully you will gain something from today and maybe leave here and go and meet people for different reasons than you thought you would before you got here. So thank you for coming, and we're going to go ahead and start. One of the things that I think is most important in networking events are what we talk about now as soft skills. That basically just being open to being with people, being around people, being comfortable, looking people in the eyes when you're speaking to them, shaking their hand, making that personal contact. It matters a lot. Reading body language, being able to see someone's eyes, and having their focus and attention. And a lot of what we see in networking groups, we see a lot of great things and we see a lot of not so great things. One of the things that I see a lot of that isn't always great when you walk into networking events, you see people who already know each other that gravitate toward each other, and they wind up staying there for the whole time. Because they're comfortable, they're familiar, they see people that they know and they like, so they wind up gravitating there, and it doesn't give anybody a chance to meet any of them, and you realize they're probably not there to meet anybody else. And so that's really not the point of networking, because what we want to do is we want to grow our network of professional relationships. And that's really what it is. It's about growing relationships. So as you go to these events, you'll start to recognize some of those things. You know, one of the things that I do like to see are the people who are mixing and mingling, who aren't taking everybody's time, you know, great amounts of time, but also not the person who's just walking around just trying to put a business card in every person's hand. I don't know if you've ever been to events like that. I have been to several where they encourage that. And I will tell you, I go back to my office after that and I look at all these business cards, and I only keep the ones where somebody made an impression of me, and my memory's not good. So you have to really make an impression on me if you want me to keep your card and remember who you are. But then those people I plan to connect with again later. Because if you made an impression on me and I remember you, then you're probably somebody that I'm going to want to get to know more about. So that's one of the things that I see at events. And one of the things I also like to remind people of is don't just go to the events. Go and set a goal for yourself. Have an intention in mind. What are you hoping to gain from it? I don't know what types of groups you all go to. I go to our local Chamber of Commerce a lot, and so I see, you know, from Fauquier County, I don't know how many of you know Fauquier County, it's this big. You know, we all go to the same events, we all know pretty much everybody in the room. But what I'm looking for is to meet somebody new, or maybe just to reintroduce myself to someone specifically for a particular purpose. So the next is, why do you go to networking events? And I don't know if any of you have thought about that. If you're actually there for a particular reason, or if you're just going because you're part of this group and they're having an event. Does anybody have any particular reason for going to networking events, or maybe a particular reason you're here? And that's excellent, yes. So what she said, I don't know if all of you can hear her. I understand that I have, you know, I've got the big voice today. But basically for, you know, expanding your business, going into a new location and meeting new people there, learning what's there and having them learn about you. And I like one of the words you said in there too, being genuine, being authentic. That's something that everybody needs to be more mindful of. Of course, that's not why I'm here. I'm not teaching you that today. But just remember that. When you're going, just be genuine and authentic. Don't just go to get something, go to give, and to just be you know, an authentic person in the room. So we have some things on here, and you'll recognize some of them from the input we got. Reasons for networking, and there are many, and there are probably a million more that aren't here, but one of them is familiarity, just getting to know what's available in the area. It's one of the things that I did. I started a networking group. When I talk about how small Fauquier County is, you should see the town I'm from. It's called Marshall, and Fauquier County is this big. Marshall is really not. You can't even. But what happened is we started revitalizing the town. New businesses were coming in, things were getting remodeled, and just a lot of investment started going into the community. And I started this group. And even though Fauquier County is small, what happens is no matter where you are in Fauquier County, if you start a networking group, everybody from the county seat goes to that group. So for our big town in Fauquier County, when you start a new group, everybody from there goes. And what I wanted to do was start a group that only the people that are starting businesses in this teeny little town were there, just so that we could all know, what do we have on this side of the county? What's here? Do we all need to go into our big town for all the services and goods that we need, or are we actually providing it out here? So I started a group that was just for that purpose, just so that the people in one small geographic region would get to know what is available in our community. And that is good for anybody, really, just to go out and know. It helps you refer business to people, and it helps them refer business back to you if you know what's in your area. The second one is exposure, to see and have your name heard, or to see and be seen. A lot of people like to do that. If you go to a lot of networking groups, you will notice you'll see a lot of familiar faces in one particular area. And there are a lot of people who that's what they do. It's almost like repetition. If you see my face and you hear my name a whole lot, then maybe when you need what I do, you'll think of me. I know several people who sort of, I guess, are in businesses, you could say, where the target market is really large, like insurance people. Everybody on the planet needs some kind of insurance. So for them, they like just going out and getting out and having their name out there and their company name. It's about exposure and familiarity. And sorry, I don't know what that was. I'm like, is that my microphone all of a sudden? And then leads. Everybody likes getting more clients, right? We all like having more clients. So, sorry. That's going to crack me up. It's as bad as my ringtone. Getting leads is a great way, or a great reason to go to networking. We all want that. And especially if you are looking at a particular target market, if they have an association, that's a great way for you to go find leads. Introductions to meet prospective colleagues, or maybe they're just influential people that are going to be part of groups that you want to meet. I know my company has a couple of local government contracts, and for me, it's important to be out where some of the elected politicians are, or the elected officials, because I know when my contract comes up for renewal, that department has to set their budget, and even though all the administrators are figuring out what they need in their budget and they really want to work with me again, the elected officials are going to vote on that budget. And I want them to know my face and my name and what I'm doing for the county, so that when it's budget time, they might think of me and my little company and really want to give me more money. But yeah, we all want more money, more clients, more money. It's, more everything. But that's one of the reasons that I go to some of mine, is to make sure that I get to know those people who are influencing our county and what we do, and that they know who I am. And you may find that there are people in your community who are influencers. Sometimes you just want to rub elbows. And that's a really good thing too, because you know who it is in your county that's moving and shaking and doing things, and you want to know them. You want to know how they're being successful, and just being around them sometimes is great. So that's another good reason for networking. And then we have employment, to find prospective jobs or employees. I understand there's a new trend, which I really enjoyed hearing about millennials who are not sending out resumes and looking up jobs online anymore. They are going to networking events and shaking hands and looking people in the eye and telling them about what degree they're getting or have just received, and trying to find out what's in the market, or even maybe just talking to the right person, find out that there is a job available, or that person might think of them later when they have an availability. And I think that's a really smart idea. It's the way to look somebody in the eyes first, and then deal with a resume and all the qualifications later. Can anybody think of other reasons that aren't there? Man, We should open the bar earlier, huh? Get people talking. All right. Well, I'm going to take half a second, grab water, think about it. There's got to be more reasons. I know I'm not the smartest person in this room. You must be from a small town like me. Because I know when I go to bigger places, I notice I'm the only one talking to other people, and they all look at me like I'm a little nuts. But I like doing that too. And it is great. You never know who you're going to run into or where or what they might mean in terms of your career or your personal life. Like you said, or like I said earlier, it's about relationships. And this is like, building professional relationships. Sometimes you can claim the networking groups and events are like, speed dating. You're going to have a whole bunch of people in the room and you're only going to have so much time to speak to each one of them. But you want to get to know something about each one and who you click with, who might be beneficial and who you can be beneficial to. All right, so you've been thinking about why you're going. So now who's your target market? And this is where I started with the whole net thing. Casting out the biggest net is not always in your best interest. And I like to use the dart scenario. And I had to remind myself not to use it early, and you wait till the slide came up. But if you think about it, if you're all sitting in this room and I have a handful of darts and I throw them up into the air, they're all going to come down. One or two might hit one or two of you. The rest are going to hit the floor. If I take my handful of darts and I just throw them at each one of you, sorry, now I'm doing it again, I have a much better chance, because I took those darts and I had some intention and I knew exactly who I was aiming at and I went there instead of just throwing them all up in the air and hoping for the best. So you have to decide who is your target market. And that's not just about doing business, that's also about networking. And I know a lot of people don't think this way, and it puts a little more effort in before you go to these groups. But if you think about who do you want to talk to when you get somewhere? And maybe today wasn't the best, example of that, because I don't know how many of you here knew who else was going to be here or even which kind of businesses would be here. But if you think about it ahead of time and try to figure it out, maybe you know specifically who you want to talk to. It's an individual or somebody from a particular company, or maybe it's just part of your target market. It helps you build that intention and build a goal. If you're going to go to a networking event, why not achieve something while you're there and leave knowing that you did what you set out to accomplish? So we are now talking about trying to find those people. So how do you know who's going to be there? How did you know today who was going to be in the room? Or when you go to your chamber event, who is going to be there? How would you even know if the person you want to talk to is going to show up that day? You can look at the guest list or the attendee list. A lot of things now are done online. And a lot of those online things, whether I think sometimes in Facebook you can do it if the person has set the event properly. I don't know if you could do it on this one, but see the whole registration list of who is coming. And a lot of times you can do that when you register. You have the option, to be public about it or not public about it. So you can look at the list. Look up a group or membership directory, especially for chambers of commerce and associations. There's usually a directory. Sometimes you have to be a member in order to access the directory. Sometimes it's just online and you can see it. It won't always tell you who's going to be at which events, but you have a good idea of what types of things they go to if they're part of a membership. Look at professional profiles on social media. Another good way, especially if you're looking for someone specific that you want to meet, find out what kind of groups they're involved in, that they have a membership badge for different associations and chambers on their profile. And the last one, this is my keep it simple, stupid remark, ask. It's an age-old expression. You'll never get an answer if you don't ask the question. Talk to the person. You could have emailed one of the SWaMfest coordinators here and said, I'm looking for these types of people, or any of them registered for this event. Who's going to be in the room that's going to be like this? And maybe they would even give you the names so that you would know when you see a badge with a particular name on it, that was somebody you wanted to meet. All right. Now, before I show you the next slide, I want to make sure this is one of my things. I was talking to you earlier when I said this. So now you know why you're there, and you know who you want to meet at a networking event. The next thing I want to tell you is what you don't do. It is one of my things, and maybe I'm more sensitive to it because I do have a marketing background, but No pitching. um, to me, like I said, because I'm a marketing person, as soon as you open your mouth to give me your elevator pitch, I am rolling my eyes and I am looking for the exit. Like, I don't want to be sold to. Don't sell me on anything. Come say hi. Have a conversation with me. You may really want to sell me something, and that may be the only reason you are there. At least start with a conversation. Start asking me a question, get to know somebody. And the more questions that you ask somebody else, it indicates to them to take an interest in you back. And that's a natural way to then be able to say, and I'm still hoping you don't just pitch, but it's a great way when you start taking an interest in someone else to get them to take an interest in what you're doing, to give you that in, to say what you wanted to say to them, but make it more personal. I know there are groups where you go to networking events, and basically everybody has 30 seconds or 1 minute, and that is your only opportunity. And yes, you're going to give your elevator pitch then. But otherwise, if you're just speaking one-on-one with somebody, I much prefer the have a conversation approach. Like I said, it's all about relationships. And hopefully 30 seconds isn't your only input to somebody. Now, I mean, if you're talking to a high-powered network that is not going to give anybody the time of day and they say, you have 30 seconds, go, then yeah, go. But otherwise, try to have a conversation. All right, sorry, I'm cheating with my notes here because if I don't do that, I won't know which slide I'm supposed to be talking about. So then, understand that when you find the person in the room and you're not pitching to them, you're having a conversation, you don't want to take their whole time. You don't want to become one of those clusters that nobody can then approach. You want to be respectful. We are all busy professionals. We all have other people we want to meet and other places we need to get to by the end of the day. So don't take somebody's whole time. My suggestion always is when you get to that person you really wanted to talk to, introduce yourself, say, that you came, be honest about it. You know what, I really wanted to come today because I really wanted to meet you. And I really wanted to meet you because I wanted to find out more about this, or if there were collaborative opportunities or whatever your thing is. And would you be willing if, in a day or two I sent you an email and I invited you, could we go out and have coffee? I'd love to talk about this in more length, but I know, I want to respect your time. I know you want to meet 15 other people here. Just something respectful like that, because you might want to have a more lengthy conversation, but that networking event probably isn't the place to do it. One of the recommendations I do have, like I said, is, keep it within 48 hours if you say you're going to do that. Don't wait and a month later be like, oh my gosh, I never sent that email. Make yourself a note, or, I think we all have these. Mine's just a timer now. I swear I'm not checking up on social media. But, I like to set myself reminders. If I say I'm going to do something, like I said earlier, and my memory's not so good, I will set myself a reminder that says, tomorrow, send Steve a note that says, let's go out and have coffee. But also, I don't think any of us think that way. I mean, maybe a couple people do. But keep in mind as well that you don't want to get yourself cornered, because somebody might actually be there to meet you. I mean, and think of how flattering that is. But it is a possibility. I mean, we all, like I said, are busy professionals. I think we're probably all pretty successful. I know we're all here. So that says something. So you never know at these groups. Make sure you have respect for other people in that realm as well. They may be waiting to talk to you. And allow them that opportunity like you want someone else. The golden rule, like the kindergarten teacher now. Golden rule for everything. Okay, now we have an alternative. You can always host your own event. I talked about, a little more effort being put into things. This one's a lot more effort, but it's a good one. If you have a particular reason why you want to network, and maybe it's a bigger reason, maybe it's like finding employees or finding colleagues, maybe even just talking to your target market, you can plan your own networking group and only invite those people to it. And maybe it's not a group, maybe it's not regular like the group I was talking about, which meets monthly. Maybe you just want to do it once. And figure out what you want to do. Invite people out, maybe it's drinks or something. Free food and drinks will get anybody to the room that you want, so remember that. But make sure that you are intentional about it and that you're honest about it. I am inviting all of you here because I want to have a conversation about this. If you don't mind, at 7 o'clock, I am going to talk and take the stage for 5 minutes just to tell you about this particular thing. Otherwise, please mix, mingle, meet people, and have a good time. And make sure that you do it. A lot of people put groups together and they forget to get up and get everybody's attention and say why we're here. And so it kind of gets lost, and you're hoping that they'll just remember because you told them earlier. But you really do need to get up and get some attention and say why it is. It's sort of that expression, I don't know how many of you subscribe to it, putting it out into the universe. If you don't say it out loud into a group of people, well, I don't know what happens when you don't, because I say everything. But it's more likely to happen and come true if you do put it out there. So if you start a group, make sure that you do that. You make sure everybody knows why they're there, and be polite and respectful of their time, and thank them for coming. And then when you're going to do that, and you're thinking about who you're inviting, and it depends on what your purpose is. So I made this, and I'm going to turn around so I can read out. So of course you've got you at the top there. If you're looking for clients, and potential clients, all right, who knows? What is the best, most fruitful way to get new customers? Alcohol. I like the way you're thinking. That wasn't where I was going. Who else? Referrals. And how do you get the best referrals? I'm sorry? From your current customers, word of mouth. So the best word of mouth to get new clients is to get your current or your past clients in the room. Because how easy would that be? And by the way, when I say current and past clients, I mean the happy ones that like you. If you've upset someone, I wouldn't invite them. But that's a really easy word of mouth thing, get them in the room together. Complementary professionals as well. If you're talking about what you do and you know that your target market of clients all need this other service as well, invite those people. Yes, you may be getting them more work too, but hopefully their clients are like yours and are going to need you as well. Plus, it adds value to your clients. You've just given them something more valuable than you were before. Colleagues. If you're looking for new clients, you might not want to bring your colleagues in because they have, the same services or similar services to what you do. But you may be looking for people who say, you have that really great opportunity to have way too much work than you can do for yourself. It's a great problem to have. I'm still looking for that problem. But you bring your colleagues in so that when you are too busy, you have somebody that you can bring in under you on those projects that can help you out with the workload, and maybe they'll start bringing some work your way as well. And then employees. I always believe in employee engagement. Bringing your team in and letting them see more of what you do. Don't just be the boss and this person at the top. Bring them in. Some team building is good, or just for relationship appreciation. And they like free food and drinks too. See, it all comes back to alcohol. You were right. All right, I feel like I'm going to do this wrong. Okay. So you knew why you were there, who you were hoping to meet, you did it, or you had your own event. Following up with flair. What's that? You don't know flair? See, I was wondering if you were going to get any of that. I don't know, maybe it's just me. We'll do a little curtsy later. But this is one of my things, and I will explain flair to you. Really, from my perspective, it's following up in a way that it makes another impression. You've already made an impression, hopefully a good one, but I like to stand out. I've been accused of a lot of things in my lifetime. Normal isn't one of them. I like to stand out. I like to stand above the rest. And so that's one of the things that I like to do. I want to take that extra step to make sure you remember me, and that you remember me more than you remember other people. And so following up, it can be as simple as just calling or sending an email and saying, thank you so much. I really valued your time. That was great. I really appreciate the fact that you did that for me. That's an easy one. And I go back to the 48-hour rule. Once you've had that one-on-one meeting or you've invited everybody to your own event, I like to follow up within 48 hours unless there's a particular reason. Maybe it was I'm going to follow up to you after this particular project, or maybe you're going on vacation or surgery or something. But otherwise, if you can do it in 48 hours, I would. And there are really other simple ways. A lot of people don't do handwritten notes anymore. A handwritten thank you goes a long way. I will tell you, I thought of a story yesterday when I was practicing this. I signed up for an event that a couple of women who work for the U.S. Trust invited me to come to this event with them. And it sounded awesome. So I said, absolutely, thank you so much, I will be there. I don't remember what happened the day before. Either a project needed me, I got sick, I can't remember, but I remember about a day ahead of time, I had to call them up and say, look, I'm really sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. I was really looking forward to it, but please let me know when the next one comes around. And about a week later, I get a handwritten thank you note from the executive director of the organization that was hosting that event that I didn't make it to. And I read the note, and it was, you know what, thank you so much for coming out. I am so sorry that I didn't get an opportunity to meet you, but I would love to take you to coffee sometime and chat. And I have to tell you, I was really, really impressed because, first of all, she must have been really busy. She was the executive director of this organization at this event. And I can't imagine that she wrote a handwritten note to everybody who was in the room. It was a pretty large event. So something on her list told her she wanted to meet me that day and didn't realize I wasn't there, just figured she hadn't found me. So I was really flattered. So I immediately called her up. Her business card was in it. And I said, I just got your handwritten thank you note. That was so sweet, so thoughtful. I am really sorry that I was not able to make it. That's why you didn't see me there. But I would love to go have coffee with you because even though I didn't know this woman or her organization, she took the time out of her day to do that for somebody who didn't even show up at her event. And that mattered to me. It made an impression. And so I went and had a lovely coffee. Now know more about her organization. But those are the connections that you remember. Somebody who went out of their way to do something that was unusual. And handwritten, I know is unusual. I know we don't all have great handwriting. I know my kids didn't even learn cursive in school. But it does mean a lot. Make it legible if you can. But there were other things. I went out, I'm a big social media person too. I'm sure you hadn't figured that out with my marketing thing. But as I was putting this together, I was like, okay, who has other examples? Who's got an out-of-the-box, kind of thank you, appreciation thing that they do? I mean, because you don't want to go over the top. You're not trying to bribe somebody. Jewelry's out of the question unless it's me. I always accept jewelry. But, something like, thank you so much. I know you really enjoyed the coffee when we went to that little coffee shop. Here's, $5 gift card. Your next coffee is on me. Really simple, easy things, not expensive. And when I was asking around, somebody told me, and I don't remember whether he did this for somebody or he received it, but he said, you know what? Instead of a thank you note to the person whose time you appreciated, send it to their boss. Unless they're the boss, that doesn't really work. But if they're an employee somewhere, apparently this person had sent a thank you note saying to that person's boss, saying, I really appreciated the fact that this person was given the time and spent it with me. I learned more about your company. I now see more opportunities for collaborations or whatever the case may be. I imagine he's a very big asset for your company. And I thought, I would never have thought to do that, but that's pretty nice. That's pretty cool. And another person that answered me said, I like to actually invite that person to the next meeting that I'm going to go to the next event, which I thought was pretty cool because if you meet somebody at one of these things and you're getting along and you're building a professional relationship, why not invite them to the next group that you're going to go to, and then you can introduce them to more people. And maybe they'll do that for you, and then you'll start getting introduced to different groups, which in Fauquier County is always great. Take me somewhere else. There's got to be other people. And I love my community. I'm not picking on it. It's just really small. So it's great to be out here where I don't know everybody in the room. Does anybody have any other ideas? Anything creative that you could do? That is a good one. And that can go handwritten or email because now everything's online. And what she had said was, sending someone an article or something, some information of some topic that you had talked about when you were meeting that might help enhance their knowledge of that topic, which is a great idea. And you can do that in emails now with links to everything, or you can actually clip something out of a newspaper or magazine and send that with a handwritten note explaining why you're sending it and that it was part of the conversation, because that is something you need to do, is also remind them, that this is why you're following up, this is what you talked about, and that you're the source of that information so they can remember that for the future. Thank you, Lois. All right. The one thing, and hopefully you understand flair now. All right. The other thing is just make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. If that conversation involved, doing something, like sending them an invitation to another event, or having setting up another meeting, or introducing them to somebody else, make sure you do it. Don't be like me. Don't forget stuff. Write it down. Take a note. Just make sure you do it. It's, integrity. The next part of the presentation is about high tech versus high touch. And I have to tell you, when I sent my outline to the SWaMfest coordinators, there was nothing about technology in it. And they said, would you mind adding something about a little bit more modern networking and technology? And I was like, oh, I might not be your girl, but it's too late. You've already agreed to let me speak, so I'll add something. But you know, it makes sense today. Like I said, we're all married to these things. We all carry them around. You can't not have any kind of technology when you're networking, and that is something that I like to do too. You know, when I mentioned coming back to my office and going through all the business cards and all the people I couldn't even remember after the networking group and saving the ones, the people that had made an impression, that is usually my next move, is going on LinkedIn and connecting with them with a note that says, it was really great meeting you this morning at the, you know, Haymarket Gainesville Business Association breakfast. I really enjoyed chatting with you. I thought maybe we could connect here. Just something that reminds them I'm not just some weird stranger who was like, oh, I want to connect with them. Because you get that too, and you had to decide, and I don't want people to have to think and decide, you know, am I just some weirdo trying to connect with them on LinkedIn, or did they actually meet me? And that's not always important to everybody. Some people, it doesn't matter whether you've actually met them on LinkedIn. I prefer that. You know, it does add more of that personal relationship. But you know, as they start talking about high-tech networking, what I think is like that commercial, I forget what it was for, AT&T or Verizon, one of the carriers years ago, where you see the family sitting around the kitchen table, and they're all got their phones on, and they're texting each other, you know, would you pass the butter, and things like that. Like, this is what I see. I see a room full of people sitting on their phones and not even talking to each other, just looking at the LinkedIn profiles and getting to know each other that way. When in reality, you know, when you think about it, we use technology all the time. You know, an event with a lot of networking or not networking, with a lot of technology looks just like anything else, and it's like this one, and we have these. Did everybody download their, what is it called again? Scan Trivia, their Scan Trivia app. I thought this was genius, and I have to say I was cursing them a little bit because I finished my whole presentation and everything I was going to say, and then I got the invitation to do this. I thought, really? You didn't tell me that ahead of time? You asked me to put technology in here. You didn't tell me you were doing this? But it's genius. I thought this is great. I've never done this at an event before. And I'm sure there's a bunch of different apps and things you can do. But if you didn't do this, the invitation was to download the Scan Trivia app on your phone, and then it asks you to input 3 facts about yourself, 2 of them to be true and 1 of them to be a lie. So that when you scan somebody's badge with your app on your phone, it brings up those comments, and you have to guess which one is the lie. Now, if you paid attention and you have a better memory than me, I gave away my lie at the beginning of the presentation, but we'll see. But I thought this is such a great thing because not everybody's like me, because I go to networking events where they have those paper name badges, and I'm like, dear God, don't stick one of those things on my dress. I did not look like this, so you could put paper stickers on me. I would much rather walk up to every person in the room and say, hi, my name is Jennifer Goldman. And I will do that 200 times other than to wear a paper name tag. These are pretty cool, though, because a lot of people aren't like me. And a lot of people, you know, aren't going to walk up to everybody in the room and make a fool of themselves like I will. But this is a great icebreaker. You know, if maybe you're introverted or shy or just awkward in social situations, it's a great way to break the ice. You now know 3 things about me. You know, you got to guess what I'm lying about, but other than I don't usually lie to people, you know more about me now, and it leads to more questions. You know, once you read those statements, it's like, okay, well, you know, I see now I'm dying. I'm going to give myself away. Nobody's going to need to scan my badge. But, you know, you can ask more questions about whatever those comments were that they put about themselves, because not only that have you learned about that person, but they chose those 3 things for a reason. Why is that? What does that say about that person? But we use technology like this all the time. One of the things that I have not done personally myself and I need to do, but I thought was genius, is a 90-second video on your social media profiles. And they do this at some events as well. You can, the coordinators will give you 90 seconds to record yourself because there'll be such big events, you're not going to meet everybody there, and put it on a screen. The reason I like that is because we're all 3-dimensional people, and on social media, you're not getting 3 dimensions. You're getting photos, you're getting words. You can put a 90-second video introduction on that says who you are, what you do, maybe even what you're looking for. My name is Jennifer Goldman. I own a community and government relations firm called Resonance. I work in the southernmost part of Northern Virginia, but I'm still going to tell you Northern Virginia because it sounds better. And I am looking for new clients who do this, this, and this, or I'm looking to hire 4 more people because I'm out speaking so much, I'm never in my office. These are the things I want to say on that video. But it also gives other people a way to see more about you. It isn't just the words and the photos. They can read your body language. They can see you're talking. They can hear your voice. It's a little more personal. You get a bigger impression that way. And I had another example, and I just lost it. But technology is everywhere we are. We're the age of information. Does anybody use any other technology that they like? Any other suggestions? I know there are plenty of other apps like LinkedIn. There are some that are specific to industries. I could name 6 of them because I wrote them down, but I haven't used any of them, I will tell you that. That's good, and you're right, because I am that way too. When I talk about my bad memory, I'll remember your faces forever. I won't remember your names past tonight, probably. But hopefully I will. Hopefully some of you will make an impression. But it is true. We're most of us, probably not everybody, are very visual people. So the more you can see about that person, the more you will remember. And repetition counts. So you had to say your name 3 times every time you talk to somebody. Yeah, see, that's my name, though. Charles. And their picture, there was artwork. I want to say there was a man and a woman dancing, and they were on opposite sides of you because the frame was so large, and you were standing in the middle. See? Visualization. I like it. So hopefully you'll do that. If you haven't done it, by the way, this is really cool. You can take tonight and do your profile and add a picture and make sure you put a really great lie in there, like make things really interesting. I won't tell you what some of mine are. I can come up with some things I really shouldn't say when I'm on stage and there's people recording me. But I also was thinking when they asked me to talk about all this technology, I'm thinking, I may be too old. When I think about technology and people who are really great at technology, I think about my kids. And even kids even younger than them, they seem to come out with iPhones in their hands. And I just, it's still, I think for people our age, it's still becoming more natural. It isn't always. But I think one of the beauty of learning the opposite way is that we're more about the people. If you go back to this, we like the touch, the high touch better. We like knowing that you go to that event and then you're going to follow up with that person and hopefully have a one-on-one with that person. It's not just about building those relationships, it's about building trust. And you build more trust when you're with people in person than just reaching out on LinkedIn and you didn't meet them before that. Yeah, I probably have at least 100 people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn that I've never actually met. They connected with me because we had colleagues in common or were in the same geographic area but just haven't ever met up. But then, when I get all those reminders like, congratulate so-and-so, they just got a new job, I'm thinking, who is that? What was their last job? So it doesn't mean as much. But, shake my hand and walk into a room and make an impression on me. That is the high touch. And the more times that you connect with that person, the more likely they are to remember you, to refer business to you, to want to do business with you. I'm having coffee tomorrow morning. It's a networking one-on-one. It's a woman I met through business, and I don't know why, but for some reason she loves me. Every other week, sends me an email. I want to introduce you to so-and-so, and she tells that so-and-so I am the biggest genius ever, and she really needs to hire me. And I love her. So I go out and I take out as much as I can because she is my biggest champion. And I love that. She is amazing. She is one of those people that I will always remember and think of and try to do things for. And she's always doing the same. And that's who she is. But it's because she's great at networking too. Maybe even better than me. I should have had her here with me. But that's what networking is all about. It is about making those relationships, business relationships. It's about building trust. I know a lot of people today, I guess we can call it a global economy, global market. We have so much information and technology that you can literally be doing business in Japan without ever stepping foot in Japan. And you're going to use technology to do that. There's just no other way. My big advice, though, is if you really get to that point where you are doing that much business and it really means that much to your company and there's that much at stake, buy the ticket and go and get a feeling for those people. It's something I tell my kids, you trust your gut. And your gut gets so much clearer when you're meeting with somebody one-on-one and looking them in the face, seeing what their handshake is like. If it matters that much to you to be doing business that far from home, at least go get a feel for it. Do it in person at least once so that you know you're making the right choice. But hopefully, after today, you'll think a little bit more about networking and how you want to do it. Like I said at the beginning, set goals for yourself. Don't just go to networking meetings and hope for the best. Go with a particular goal or intention, and try to set yourself up to succeed. Like I said, try to find out who's going to be in that room. Figure out who you want to talk to specifically. Set your own group if you need to meet the people that you want to meet. And when you're done, hopefully you've learned what you wanted to learn or accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. And I know I talk a lot, and I didn't give you guys a lot of opportunity for input, but if you have any questions, please let me know. And also, I have added all of my contact information here. If there's something you want to ask me or tell me later, please feel free. I have business cards and pens. I brought you swag. So please take cards, swag, and get in touch with me if you have anything you want to ask or say. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoy the rest of the night. I think the next part of the event starts at 6. I appreciate you being here.